Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. I continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, Chapter 33, on text 18. Grahodai Dayanam Kushumitai Ramyam Bhav Amaratrume Kujat Vihanga Mithunam Gayan Matva Madhu Pratam. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet, fragrant flowers and many trees, which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees, and their chanting voices, as well as the humming sound of the bees, made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible. Yatra pravishtam atmanam vibhudhanu charajaguhu vapyam palagandhinyam karma kardameno palalitam. When Devahuti would enter that lovely garden to take a bath, in the pond filled with lotus flowers, the associates of the denizens of heaven, the Gandharvas, would sing about Kardama's glorious household life. Her great husband Kardama gave her all protection at all times. The ideal husband and wife relationship is very nicely described in this statement. Kardama Muni gave Devahuti all sorts of comforts in his duty as a husband, but he was not at all attached to his wife. As soon as his son Kapiladev was grown up, Kardama at once left all family connection. Similarly, Devahuti was the daughter of a great king Swayambhuva Manu and was qualified and beautiful, but she was completely dependent on the protection of her husband. So this is the Vedic times. Vedic times was where the woman was protected in her childhood by the father. When she was of marriageable age, then she would get married, protected by the husband, and then later protected by the son. According to Manu, women, the fair sex, should not have independence at any stage of life. In childhood, a woman must be under the protection of the parents. In youth, she must be under the protection of her husband. And in old age, she must be under the protection of the grown children. Kardama Muni demonstrated all these statements of the Manu Samhita in her life. Manu Samhita is the law book for mankind. Manu is the father of mankind. Manushya is named after him. He has written the laws. So this is the law.
Sorry, I don't understand this sentence. In childhood, a woman, according to Manu, woman, the fair sex, should not have independence at any stage of life. What does it mean?
Yes, that's what I was.
Woman is supposed to have, right? Dependent on.
So what happened in Vedic times? The woman in the childhood, she was given good protection by the father. Then when she gets married, she gets good protection from the husband. And then when she has a grown-up son, then the protection is from the son. So why is it said that the woman should not be independent? Because women are like children. And so it's easy to manipulate them emotionally. We can get carried away. We can get manipulated by some men who have not very good intention. So in that stage, but it doesn't mean that we have to be manipulated by our family members. It doesn't mean that we do not have the self-respect shouldn't be given, or in fact, women are supposed to be given a lot of love and care and respect, So this is the Vedic time. Is that okay?
Yeah, right. Okay.
Devahati demonstrated all these statements of the Manu Samhita in her life. As a child, she was dependent on her father. Later, she was dependent on her husband in spite of her opulence. And she was later on dependent on her son, Kapila Dev. So we, of course, nowadays we say women's liberation. Women should have the liberation and all that. But this, what we are talking about is the Vedic time, but the idea is the women should be given love and respect. Hitva tad ipshitatamam api akhandala yoshitam kinchik chakara madanam putra vishleshan natura. Although her position was unique from all points of view, saintly Devahati, in spite of all her possessions, which were envied even by the ladies of the heavenly planets, gave up all such comforts. She was only sorry that her great son was separated from her. Devahati was not at all sorry at giving up her material comforts, but she was very much aggrieved at the separation of her son. It may be questioned here that if Devahati was not at all sorry to give up the material comforts of life, then why was she sorry about losing her son? Why was she so attached to her son? The answer is explained in the next verse. He was not an ordinary son. Her son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can give up material attachment, therefore, only when one has attachment for the Supreme Person. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. Only when actually has some taste for spiritual existence can he be reluctant to follow the materialistic way of life. So when we say that I want to be detached, I want to stop all attachment to the material, it is possible only if we get attached to Krishna. It's not possible otherwise. Because our consciousness, we souls, we are all conscious. And the consciousness needs some attachment. That's just the way it is. So either we get attached to the material or to the spiritual. The choice is ours. The choice is ours. Originally, we are all attached to Krishna. We love Krishna. But now, because we have been in the material world a very, very long time, we have forgotten Krishna. But by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, by chanting his name, gradually, we can revive our remembrance of him. Param Drishtva Nivartate. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling that. Param Drishtva Nivartate. So only when one has actually some taste for spiritual existence can he be reluctant to follow the materialistic way of life. So we may say, I don't have taste for spiritual existence. I don't know what is spiritual existence, so how can I have taste for it? Never mind, just continue to hear and chant. Everything will follow. Everything will follow. Vanam pravrajite patya apatya viraha tura gyata tatvapi abhunashte vatse gaur iva vatsala. Devahuti's husband had already left home and accepted the renounced order of life. And then only her son Kapila left home. Although she knew all the truths of life and death, and although her heart was cleansed of all dirt, she was very aggrieved at the loss of her son, just as a cow is affected when her calf dies. Well, we can imagine, we get so attached to the material. We are attached to our family, we are attached to our children. What to say of saying of attachment to God himself? He's the most attractive. He has the best qualities. So it's very natural for Devahuti to really feel the separation from her son. Like the Mother Yashoda, she was always so much in separation from Krishna. Nanda Maharaj, so much in separation from Krishna. Dashrath, he gave up his body thinking of Lord Ramachandra. That is how the Lord is. Yeah, he's very, very attractive. We just have to allow ourselves to get attracted by him. A woman whose husband is away from home or has taken the renounced order of life should not be very sorry, because she still has the presence of her husband's representative, her son. It is said in the Vedic scriptures, Atmaeva Putro Jayate, the husband's body is represented by the son. Strictly speaking, a woman is never widowed if she has a grown son. So even when what was it? Ashwathama was brought in front of Draupadi because he had killed her 5 sons. So Ashwathama, so then Draupadi said that the mother is already grieving. What was his mother going to feel, you know? Already her son is dead. But this is the representative. This is, her son is her husband's representative. So at least we should not kill him, you know? And he's the son of our teacher. So it goes to show that the son is the husband's representative. This is what is said in the scriptures. Devahuti was not very much affected while Kapila Muni was there, but upon his departure, she was very afflicted. She grieved not because of her worldly relationship with Kardama Muni, but because of her sincere love for the personality of Godhead. The example given here is that Devahuti became just like a cow who has lost a calf. A cow bereft of her calf cries day and night. Similarly, Devahuti was aggrieved, and she always cried and requested her friends and relatives, please bring my son home so that I may live, otherwise I shall die. This intense affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although manifested as affection for one's son, is spiritually beneficial. Attachment for a material son obliges one to remain in material existence. But the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Lord, brings one elevation to the spiritual world in the association of the Lord. So here Devahuti is feeling the attachment for Lord Kapila, and this very attachment is going to bring her out of the material world, because she's attached to the Supreme Lord himself. So we can say that, oh, then someone may say, oh, but being attached to the Supreme Lord is so much suffering. She's crying here. Then why shall I become attached? We said, oh, Mother Yashoda, then she's crying. Oh, then Dashrath, he's crying. So what's the use of getting attached to the Supreme Lord? If we just have to cry, then that is suffering. But no, because when the devotees are feeling separation from the Supreme Lord, it is a source of the highest pleasure. This is what Lord Caitanya came to show us, that loving Krishna in the mood of separation, Vipralambha Seva. It's called Vipralambha Seva. Union is called Sambhoga. When the devotee is together with Krishna, it's called Sambhoga. But when the devotee is separated from Krishna, it's called Vipralambha. And then this Vipralambha is cause it gives an experience to the devotee to feel the highest bliss. It intensifies the love. You know, the love grows stronger when the loved one is not near us. You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, like that. So the devotee is able to feel such intense love in their heart, which they didn't know even existed. Separation in the material world gives misery, but separation from the Lord gives highest pleasure, very high pleasure. And then Vipralambha always leads to Sambhoga. Separation leads to union. It brings union. How? In the spiritual world. Devahuti is going to be reunited with her son in the spiritual world. Every woman can qualify herself as much as Devahuti and then can also have the Supreme Godhead as her son. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead can appear as the son of Devahuti, he can also appear as the son of any other woman, provided that woman is qualified. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying that anyone can have Krishna, God, as her son, provided we qualify ourselves for that. If one gets the Supreme Lord as a son, one can have the benefit of bringing up a nice son in this world, and at the same time get promotion to the spiritual world to become the face-to-face associate of the personality of Godhead. Just today I was hearing a class where in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, so Vasudev, Krishna's father, he was lamenting. He said, I did so much austerity. And Krishna came to us. Krishna and, what was that? Sutapa and, I forgot the name of, what was Devki's?
Krishni.
Prishni, huh? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So Prishni and Sutapa, that was Vasudeva and Devki in their previous life, and they did a lot of austerity. So much austerity, they attracted the favor of Krishna, and he came in front of them and said, what happened? Why are you doing so much austerity? And they asked that we want a son like you. Now there's no one else like Krishna. No one else is God, only Krishna is God. So he came as their son 3 times. But Vasudev says, why did I ask you? Because now he's saying this after Krishna has already departed for the spiritual world, and Vasudev is still here. So he's feeling the separation from Krishna. So he's saying, I should have just asked for Krishna to take me out of the material world. I should have just asked him for liberation. Why did I ask him to be born as my son? He can take me out of the material world and bring me to the spiritual world directly. So we can just ask Krishna that, please bring me back home, back to Godhead. Please let me become a nice servant of your servant, of the servant, of the servant. Tam eva dhyayati devam apatyam kapilam harim babhuva chirato vatsa nisfriha tadrishe grihi. O Vidur, thus always meditating upon her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev, she very soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home. Here is a practical example how one can elevate oneself in spiritual advancement by Krishna consciousness. Kapila Dev is Krishna, and he appeared as the son of Devahuti. After Kapila Dev left home, Devahuti was absorbed in thought of him, and thus she was always Krishna conscious. Her constant situation in Krishna consciousness enabled her to be detached from her earth and home. Unless we are able to transfer our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of becoming freed from material attachment. So Prabhupada he repeatedly says that. Lord Kapila Dev is also saying that, because many people tell us we should be detached, we should be detached. But what does it mean to be detached? It means that we need to get attached to Krishna. The Srimad Bhagavatam therefore confirms that it is not possible for one to become liberated by cultivation of empiric philosophical speculation. Simply knowing that one is not matter but spirit, soul, or Brahman does not purify one's intelligence. Even if the impersonalist reaches the highest platform of spiritual realization, he falls down again to material attachment because of not being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. So this attachment is always there with the soul. The soul can never be detached. We may think, oh no, attachment is just material. When I get liberated, I'm the soul. So then I don't have any attachment. What you're talking about? No, because the soul is always conscious. So the soul is always going to be thinking of something, wanting to do something. You're not dead matter. What is dead is the body. What is alive is the soul. So if the soul is alive, is always conscious, always has to do something, has to think of something. And All these things we think is material. No, it is in fact, the attachment is with the soul. And so till the time we can transfer our attachment to Krishna, we will come back to the material world. Even if we reach the Brahman effulgence, even if we get liberated and we understand completely, I am the soul, I am not the body. But then we'll continue, keep thinking, I'm the soul, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, I'm not the body. But after some time, we get bored of it. Why? Because we have not yet developed our attachment for Krishna. Then again, the soul has to come to the material world, again, has to go through whatever process till the time can come to Krishna. That's the reason Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi hi eshagunamai mam maya duratyaya, mam eva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. That those who surrender unto me can very easily cross beyond this material world. The devotees adopt the devotional process, hearing about the Supreme Lord's pastimes and glorifying his activities, and thereby always remembering his beautiful eternal form. By rendering service, becoming his friend or his servant, and offering him everything that one possesses, one is able to enter into the kingdom of God. So devotional service begins by hearing and chanting, hearing about the Lord's pastimes and chanting his glories. And what does that lead to? Remembering his beautiful form. This is devotional service. And by engaging in devotional service, we can go back home, back to Godhead. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Tato mam tattvato gyatva. After discharging pure devotional service, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead in fact, and thus one becomes eligible to enter into his association in one of the spiritual planets. So this is where so clearly we are being shown the way how we can go back home, back to Godhead. We simply have to continue to engage in devotional service, continue with hearing and chanting, remembering the Lord, worshiping the Lord, offering prayers. These are more important for us at our level. Then the higher levels are rendering service, becoming his friend, becoming his, and offering everything to him. This way we can go back home, back to Godhead. Did anyone want to add anything or comment anything?
How Devahuti ji was so, she always received the knowledge from Lord Kapila, who was Lord himself, right? Just like Arjuna,
Yes.
right? Arjuna also received the knowledge from Lord himself, Krishna, and then still, when the time came in the war, in the end, he was little disturbed, and when Krishna left, he was little, right?
Yeah, when Krishna left, Arjuna was very disturbed, yes, because he
So
was
it's the same
attached to Krishna.
condition. Yeah. So it's the same
Yes,
condition, right? Even Devahuti ji is so much disturbed.
yes. So
So
is
this is
this
not
good
to be
disturbance or
considered
bad
material.
disturbance?
No, this is good. I think this is good. This is not to be considered because she's attached to Lord, right? Because she's
Yes,
thinking
that's
about,
right.
her conscious is involved in thinking about Krishna,
Yes,
about Lord. So that's the
yes,
importance they are telling, that it is so important. Like both of, like he has as a friend and she has as a mother. So the connection
that's
has to be there. No matter how much we serve or how much we do, but there has to be a connection, right? This is what they're
yes.
trying to sum it up
That,
at.
but then what you're talking about is Raganuga Bhakti. So, but then we are not practicing Raganuga Bhakti. We may not have that connection. Does it mean that we stop hearing and chanting? No, we
Okay.
continue hearing and chanting. We are practicing sadhana bhakti. So sadhana
Okay.
bhakti, whether we are
Regularity.
feeling the, I'm sorry.
Sadhana bhakti is that we are doing it every day, no matter what. Is it that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Why? Yeah. This is the process. I will do it. I may have attachment. I may not have attachment, but I'm gonna do this, and have the faith that by doing sadhana bhakti, we will get love of Krishna. We will go back home. Just hold on to Srila Prabhupada. Just hold on to his dhoti, as he said, and continue hearing and chanting, continue following the regulative principles under the direction of the spiritual master, and go back home, back to Godhead. Because Raganuga Bhakti is a very high platform. It comes, when one is like almost, when one is engaging in pure devotional service. So that's a liberated platform. The devotee is already liberated.
So in sadhana bhakti, that means the attachment is still isn't there to the Lord. Correct?
Not yet. Yeah. Maybe there, may not be there. Mostly it's not there. It's not
Or
there.
very, very
But
little.
yeah, but the attachment is there that I have to do my duty of hearing and chanting. The attachment is to the bhakti process, devotional
Bhakti.
service.
Okay.
Yeah, that I have to do my hearing and chanting because this is the order. Whether I like it or don't like it, I'm gonna do it. So that's where the attachment
Like
is.
your duty. You're doing a duty that I have to do this.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
We
yeah,
are
you have
doing
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I have to chant my rounds every day. I have to. I don't want to, maybe, but that's okay.
No, but then the guilt comes. When you don't, then it's like, yeah. Right.
Exactly, because that attachment is developed, right?
No.
To doing it then. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.